All right. Uh, Stan kind of looks about like he's actually looking for, you presume, the captain.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at which point he says, just give me a second. Yeah. And we'll slowly kind of wander over to this door. Pardon me, viewers. And we'll give a few little knocks and shout out, Captain, I believe our guest is here. Can't hear any response from the other side, but Stanton says, okay. To which he'll turn around and tell you, the captain will be right with you, Mr. Scaithe, sir. And continue up these stairs to the top deck and disappears out of sight.
Okay. Well, I suppose I'm just supposed to wait here, so I'm gonna go over to here and just stare off the bow.
Okay? Zoom in one more for everyone's viewing pleasure.
Or stare off the side. Bow something different.
You hear the door open, and you see this very pristine looking lady enter. She seems to be very well dressed. She seems to be elven. You can get that right away. She's dressed in some very, very fancy elven adventurers wear. She doesn't look like a rough and tumble, but she's certainly got some fashion to her.
Right.
She notices you and kind of gives you just this condescending snark of a look, and will continue past you up the stairs as well.
Lovely.
Which another person will come out. This man obviously looks like a captain of some kind. He steps out the door and brushes his coat off a little bit, dusting himself off. Leans back, cracks his back, yawns, stretches, adjusting himself, as it were. Making all sorts of noises at this point. Stretching, rolling his shoulders. He hasn't even noticed you're here. You think maybe he just got up from a nap or something?
Probably. I just start approaching a little bit and say hello.
I'm gonna go ahead and put up the nameplate so I can put this properly as a drawing. He's not even looking at you. The captain's trying to crack his back, but horribly failing at it, as you can tell. He says, just hang on, I'll be right with you. As he's really trying to get something to give. Finally hear one loud snap that sounds like it could easily have broken a bone. He goes, that's more like it. To which he properly faces you, kind of takes a few of these large booted straddles up towards you, and says, so, you must be Scaithe.
That's me. Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you too. He holds his hand out and wholeheartedly grabs your hand with both hands and gives you a full, very heartfelt, vigorous shake. Could practically shake you. He says, it's very nice to meet you. I'll be your captain. You can just call me Artemis. A lot of the crew members here will call me the Pirate Artemis, but there's no much need for much more formalities around here. He kind of stops in mid-thought and says, oh, I am begging your pardon, but unfortunately I don't believe I actually asked you and gave you permission on my ship.
Ah,
Kind
I
of
do apologize.
catches you.
Then allow me to do this properly. Even though I'm already here, permission to come aboard, Captain.
You don't need to be so formal, man. I'm just pulling your leg. Look, we're all happy here. Anyone's a welcome aboard. This here be the Sky Warden, and we're glad to have you here. He kind of roots around his pocket real quick and pulls out some reading glasses, some tiny little half crescent reading glasses. Kind of saddles them on his face for just a second, and really squints himself to give you a good look over. Well, he takes the glasses down, stores them back in his pocket. Look at you! He seems very ecstatic now, like he's now full of life or reinvigorated. Look at you! You little adventurer, you! Oh, it's just, I don't mean to bug you, lad. It's just sometimes we get a lot of these passengers, these stiff shirt-necked people around here. We were told we were getting an advanced elite from the Adventures Guild, and we were expecting some hoity-toity skirty man. Why, you look like you'd fit in right with the rest of us. You could nab our pockets without us even knowing. Look at you.
Well, I didn't even think I was considered an elite by them, but that's actually nice to hear.
Who knows, maybe they're yanking your chain as well. He kind of wink wink nudges in your direction.
Knowing them, probably.
Well, it's good to have you aboard here. Everyone's kind of getting the last bits of the... Well, everyone's finishing up and we'll be setting off shortly. Hate to say this, but before we actually shove off, I need to lay down the customaries, as it were.
Okay. Your ship, your rules, I'm more than willing to listen.
He says, it's very respectful of you. As he kind of walks past you and says, please, let's talk a little more privately. And he kind of walks over and goes through this door here.
Follow?
He walks through and takes a seat at this very large dining table. You can tell this is some sort of dining area for the crew. He says, I'll have a seat, as the captain kind of flops down in his chair.
I sit nicely.
Captain kind of roots about something in the chair he's set next to him. He says, now, Scaithe, is it? That's right.
Yes, sir.
He says, you like to be called Scaithe? You go by any other names? You good?
I'm good.
Fair enough. Simple man. I like that. He says, well, first off, do you know where you're going?
I am, I pull out the piece of paper, just to make sure.
As far as you know, the ship is supposed to take you to your destination of the desolation of Solurita.
Yes.
And that's really all you know. You do not know what, route or, how many stops or how long it will take.
Well, I let him know. As far as I'm aware, my end goal is the desolation of Soluritra.
Kind of gives you a nod. He's still trying to make sense of you, as you can guess. He says, well, that's more than many can say. He says, well, the old Sky Warden here's a good old gal. She'll get us there within the week's end, maybe a few days at most. Now, we're a very laid-back crew. I'm sure your owners, he says, like he's failing for the right word, have informed you that we are stationed out of the militant town of Icket and technically classified as sky soldiers, despite the kind of roguish look about here.
They have mentioned it, yes.
We are, in fact, a militant vessel and are used for militant purposes as needed by the town of Vickett, but in our spare time we normally try to, well, scavenging's a good hobby, but we mainly try to do ferries and get people to and fro, as the Sky Warden can kind of get a lot of people, well, here and there better than the average ship, he says.
That's something I was meaning to ask you. You are sky soldiers basically, and you call it the Sky Warden, but it's a sea vessel, isn't it?
Well, it can be, he says. That's the beauty of it, lad. He kind of waves a hand, like kind of hushing off that notion. He says, "You'll figure it out once we shove off.
Okay.
No need to worry." Um, but there are a few little formalities I need to run through with you.
All right.
First off, I know it's not easy to go around with a crew of strangers and expect to trust them. So, as I'd expect someone from an adventurers guild from around these parts would know that trust is hard to earn and easy to break. So, we are a crew that respects each other. We're not going to ask you to do any chores or anything, but, you're free to help out. But, mainly, if and you don't mind, I need to try out a little, well, I need to run this little test. It might seem a little out of the ordinary, but I do need to run this little test if you're giving me the permission.
Permission granted. You are the captain of the ship. I am supposed to go, but along with your rules.
Okay. Then I need to ask you to empty your pockets, empty all your bags, everything here on the table. I need to know what you carry.
I start pulling out everything. I pull out my adventurers kit. I lay my sword and my dagger and chain. I lay out all of my little potions for health and mana. I lay out that little book, the book of spells with a couple little pages, you know, bookmarked.
Okay. You lay out everything.
Everything.
Everything. Okay. Um, your familiars. Do you have the finch in your hood?
Yep, the little finch. I gently pull out his nest. He gives me an indignant look, and then I lay some fireproof cloth down onto the table first, and then I put my
Pull the
little puppy
little
down on it.
hellhound out of your bag and set it on the
Yeah.
fireproof bag.
Yep.
The pup is the last thing you pull out. It kind of glows a little bit of a green flame. It seems very tired, like it was still sleeping in your bag. Artemis kind of half stands up, unexpecting you to, pull this little demon dog out of a bag. He says, "Okay, is this beast tame?"
He is very, very. All he does do right now.
Robot.
I've been working on
Scaithe.
training him. He listens to simple commands. Sorry.
Ooh, robot Scaithe. We're losing connection.
Oh no.
Okay, I think we're back to normal.
Check 1, check 2.
You're still a little robotic, but you're okay. The captain gives
Yeah,
you a...
someone turned on the microwave. That ate my Wi-Fi.
Goodness.
Yeah, fun.
There you go. The captain gives you a good stern look in the face and says, "Now, I don't mind what you do with this beast. I don't care if it's your lifelong companion, but I will not have him setting my ship aflame. Is that clear?"
Yes, sir.
Says, "Very well then." He says, "Everything seems to be good, no contraband or nothing." He kind of gives you kind of a sarcastic look. And kind of motions like you can take your stuff back, like I don't need it on the table anymore. And he says, but there's one more thing. We do have a lot of, well, a lot of passengers sometimes who are very, what am I looking for? Obsessed with magic. Do you know magic yourself? Can you do magic?
I can do some light level magic. I've got. I'm very good with controlling plant life.
Okay. He says,
That's about it. I got some
I
little
he holds a hand up,
push and pull.
kind of stopping you mid sentence. I don't need to know all the details. Just we've got some members here who know magic as well. It's just don't care how you use it. Just I will not have you disrespecting my crew or my ship in any way.
Understood. They probably know a lot more about magic than I do, though.
He says, but
So I
with
will treat them with the
these,
most respect.
Captain says, with these odd, obsessed magic people, it is a little more than often I would like to admit that we do get these people. You're unsure what he's trying to get at, but he says, but we've got an easy way to weed them out of the few. He leans over to that chair he was messing with something, and he has this small, what looks like a box, but it's covered with a little cloth of some kind. Or you can tell it's a little box shaped, like the size of what you'd expect, like a little jewelry box. Excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
a little music box, maybe. He picks up this thing and sets it on the table in front of you. All you can tell is it's some sort of small box shape underneath this little blue cloth. And he kind of gives you a look, making sure you notice that this thing's on the table. He doesn't say anything. And handkerchief-like removes the cloth off of this box. It is a very small wooden box. It seems very cut very ornately, very intricate designs with little holes in it. Through these holes, it looks like something inside the box is glowing, a very bright golden glow. It's like something inside of it glows. It does not appear to be any candlelight. It appears to be more of a magical glow. Nothing, not a flickering of a fire, but some sort of
Kind
aura.
of like an ambience.
Yes, if you would.
Okay.
He kind of turns it a bit in his hands, kind of giving you, a very good look about the box. Then with two fingers, very gently and cautiously, opens the box. It faces you. The box opens, and inside you can see a very, very shiny gemstone that's glowing this bright orange glow, this bright golden glow. Kind of turns it a little bit, and gently closes the lid, to which the golden glow emanates through the little holes again. And very cautiously kind of
Mm-hmm.
just slides it to you across the table. He just folds his hands and kind of just sits there and ponders you over. Kind of looks down at the box with his eyes kind of urging like, well,
I presume he wants me to try and pick up the stone, so I would like to try.
what would you like to do? The
Uh,
box is just sitting there in front of you on the table.
is the lid open still?
It is closed now. The little gem is glowing inside the box through the little holes.
I would like to gently open the lid.
Okay, you gently open the lid, and there is no glow, there is no gem, it is an empty box. It seems to disappear, or has disappeared, or vanished completely as you open the box. The box is now empty.
Okay.
You catch a glance at the captain, and he's still kind of in that same position, studying you, and kind of looks back down to the box and back up at you, still urging you to do something.
I want to roll it for perception. I want to see if there's like this might be not an illusion, but like a. You know what? No, I just asking the stone's gone.
He doesn't respond. Still kind of gives a look between you and the box.
I want to try and reach my hand in there, see if it's like just pat around.
You put your hand inside the box. It's an empty box. There's the bottom. There's the sides. You can see through the holes in the lid. It's an empty box.
Uh, Perception check. I want to see if there's like a false bottom.
Okay.
Click, click, roll. 16.
There is no false bottom. It appears to be an actual in-contact box. Just a bottom and a lid. It's not a trick box, as far as you can tell. He reaches forward and very gently closes the box, to which it begins to glow again. And very gently uses the same hand and pulls the lid open. The gem is sitting there glowing, ever so bright as it was, and closes the box again. The golden glow comes up from the little holes in the lid. Kind of holds out a hand like, your turn.
I open the lid.
You open the lid. There is no glow, there is no rock. It is an empty box.
Is this some sort of artifact that only you can have access to?
The captain does not respond. He still is studying your behavior.
I'm bewildered. 110% confused. I tell him that I've got no idea how it's disappearing and reappearing, but I am absolutely floored.
The captain does not motion, but he gently asks you, very well, can I have my box back?
I would like to pick up the box and hand it to him.
Okay, you pick up the box and hand it towards the captain. He very reluctantly and slowly see him pull out one of his hands and gently take the box back and put it down on the chair beside him. He says, how do you feel?
I feel fine. I don't feel ill. I feel the same way I did when I walked on the ship.
I see. Do you... He pauses and kind of rummages over his thoughts. Takes a hand and kind of strokes his goatee and says, do you desire this box now? Do you want this box?
Not necessarily, no. It's very interesting. I just want to know, I would like to know how it worked. But I don't...
As soon as you said that, he kind of gives an eyebrow raise. He says, so the puzzle has out-puzzled you. Would you
Yes.
devote a prolonged period of time trying to figure this puzzle out?
Only if I didn't have anything better to do.
Okay, fair enough. He says, and kind of just stands up and he tells you, see, a lot of these magic obsessed people, we show them this little trick here, and they go absolutely nuts when they can't figure out why it doesn't work for them. And based on their obsession, They either try to steal the box or you can expect it. They won't be happy or satisfied until they figure out what's going on. And you seem generally perplexed, as most do, but you don't have that drive in you like the rest of them, so I think you're good.
Okay.
The captain says, well then, that's all settled. We welcome you aboard here, and if you're all set to go, I think we're just about ready to shove off.
I'm pretty much all set. Do I need to know anything else? Any more of your rules or anything?
He kind of just ponders thought once more and says, well, you know, we kind of consider ourselves a bunch of rogues, respectively, but we're a nice group. We all mean well. We don't really have any violent pasts or anything, but don't be afraid to come to me if you need anything. I mean, I try to run a tight ship around here, and, well, you know, if anything concerns you, just, you know, I'm here.
Alright. Thank you very much, Captain.
He once again shakes your hand and proceeds to walk back out onto the main deck.
I follow suit, so I'm not, left behind. Oops, sorry. Character overlap there. There we go.
The captain will kind of stand right about here, to which you see Murdstone appear from that door. And a step to the side. Up above, on the forward castle, you can see a figure overlooking.
Mm-hmm.
Overlooking the deck. As well as another figure overlooking as well. As far as your distance, you believe these to be women. Kind of peek up behind you, and you can barely see, just faintly behind the wheel, you can see Stanton, as you've met him before, and the very rude elven lady. Everything just kind of stands about. Until from below decks, this figure appears, a wizard of some kind. Cloaked, a very simple, single-colored cloak, a dark cloak. Kind of messy hair, wearing very dark glasses. And he appears to have some sort of little golden orb kind of just hovering about his shoulders. He kind of steps up, kind of side steps to the captain. The captain will turn to this figure and says, are we all set to go? The figure will just simply nod. It says, okay, let's give our guest the well, just put on the show for him. The wizard will nod and basically kind of steady himself right about here and make a stance. Murdstone will kind of back over to one side. The captain will kind of step back a few paces, kind of settling up alongside you. Says you're gonna love this and kind of gives you a nudge. The wizard will raise his hands above his head, and instantly you are blinded by a bright green flash. It takes a few seconds for you to actually adjust your eyes back like you've just been flashbanged. The first thing you notice is that it has gotten darker. Like something has blocked out the sun.
I look up.
You look up and are instantly met with the sight of two gigantic hide-covered balloons floating above the ship now that all seem to be fastened in with netting and webbing, all properly rigged up with fins about as well, as much as you can see from your position. Captain says that's why she's called the Sky Warden. Instantly, from pirate ship to airship.
I love it.
He says that's the trick not many people are getting. Them hot air balloons and flying contraptions, they cause a lot of problems with their hot air and gases. That's how accidents happen. Magic's be much the safer route to go. As you can see, these giant balloons here are not filled with no air. They're filled with these magic stones that help keep us afloat.
That's actually a brilliant idea.
He says it works out, and no hazard of trying to keep the ship fueled or, well, worry about fires of any kind.
How do you keep the magics charged?
Well, they come from a certain type of stones that are basically our grand wizards over in Iked have kind of commissioned for a lot of our, well, militant vehicles. And, well, it's a bunch of malarkey magic stuff. We don't really delve into it too much. We're just kind of told how it works and don't really question it too much.
Okay, then.
At which point he kind of turns to face Stanton up on the top quarterdeck. He says, "We're all set to go, Mr. Stanton. Full speed ahead, if you will." Stanton cries out, "Aye, aye, Captain." And you see him instantly pull some sort of lever of some kind, to which the ship creates now a gentle hum as you gently begin to feel the entire ship start to rise out of the water, vertically straight up.
How much force are we talking about here, rising straight up?
It's
Gentle?
gentle,
Pretty firm?
but this thing
Okay.
is actually moving, you can tell.
Okay. Wanted to make sure I didn't have to do like a stability check.
Oh no, this thing's not rocking by any means. You see the wizard guy actually pull his hands back down and kind of just walk back downstairs and disappear.
Alright.
Very gently, the ship now rises. As you can see, you get a good, rise from the above the port. The entire ship starts rising until the bow well clears the top masts of any surrounding ships. Next thing you know, you are now gently hovering above the rooftops of Stillwater. Still in your same position, but you can easily get this gorgeous view of Stillwater in its entirety. To which Stanton starts wheeling the helm to the right, and the entire ship gently makes a full 180 degrees, 180 degrees rotation, and gently begin to take off over the Sea of Metro as you gently begin to rise until you kind of hover about a good portion to where you're just about short of the clouds, but still well above the waters itself. The captain says, "And easy done. Easy as that."
This is quite wonderful. This is the first time I've been this high up without having to fight for my life.
The captain gives you a good hearty laugh. He says, "I can tell you the feeling. It's quite interesting and quite a different experience, isn't it?"
Yes, it is. I can see why you do this.
The captain says, "Well, you're going to have to forgive me. I got a few things to attend to, but feel free to roam about and find the rest of the crew. They're not quite the type to really just go up and introduce themselves, but they're a lively bunch once we get to it. Feel free to do what you want. We do have a room secured for you downstairs, and I suppose we'll see you around dinner time, if not."
Alright.
To which the captain will kind of give you a nod and go into this other door over here. Alright, at this point, it is free roam. Do as you please. The ship is smoothly sailing along.
Okay, I think I'm going to start off by doing something probably stupid. I want to try and make proper introductions of myself to the rude elf lady.
Okay, last you saw, she went upstairs to the quarterdeck.
I will do the same. Which way is are these stairs facing?
Yeah, those stairs will go up to the quarterdeck.
Do I
Both
have to
of
go
them,
in through
either
this door?
side. No,
Okay.
that door leads back.
Then
You go upstairs, and you are now on the quarterdeck. You see Stanton behind the wheel, and you see the elven lady kind of just overlooking the ship.
I approach and say hello. Try to be as pleasant as possible.
She, once again, kind of gives you a judging look, and then says, "Well, I don't mean to come off rude, if you want to take it that way, but it's just that I don't see many half-elves around here. I don't really find them." She kind of stops herself in her tracks. Stanton kind of just shouts up to you two, she's got a thing. She's one of them old classic elves from a different time. He kind of shouts. Uh,
I,
in response to this, she looks over and says, "You shut your mouth, Stanton."
I can appreciate that, and I will do my best to not hinder or not to fulfill your expectations of half elves.
She says, "No, no, that's do what you want. I'm not here to tell you who you are. You do what you want. Be yourself. Don't let me influence who you are. But just fair warning, try not to get in my way. A lot of these people would say I have a temper."
I can appreciate that, and it's very nice to meet you. My name is Scaithe.
Scaithe. She kind of gives you a hand gesture like continue. That's it?
That's unfortunately yes. I'd rather not divulge where I'm from. I don't quite enjoy where I was. Uh,
I don't care where you're from. What's your surname? Introduce yourself properly.
ah, understandable.
You don't really have a surname. You are only known as Scaithe.
Uh, correct. It's just yeah. I don't have.
It just... Okay, fine. Fine.
Unfortunately, it's just Scaithe.
She daintily holds out a hand for you. It says, "My name is C.S. Florentine. You can call me Miss Florentine. I am the quartermaster here. I'm the Sky Warden."
I gently and swiftly shake her hand. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Florentine.
To which her name should be shown for you as well.
Indeed.
To which she kind of just turns back over the ship, puts her hands behind her, and kind of just continues overlooking the ship, like she's done with you.
I politely take my leave.
Okay. Back down to the main deck. Obviously, those two staircases on either side of the stern lead up to the quarterdeck. There's two flights that lead up to the forward castle, and there's a large flight you saw the wizard go down that you presumably leads below deck.
Mm-hmm. I will go to the forward castle.
All right. You head up here. There seems to be a female and some kind of bouncy and a bouncy attitude, kind of just holding the railing, kind of just jumping up and down like an enthusiastic little kid. There's another female figure kind of rooting around in a chest at the bow up here.
I'd like to introduce myself to the bouncy individual. Hello there.
Don't you just love it when that happens? Oh, I love it when he does the flash thing. It's my favorite part. She seems very ecstatic.
It was quite entertaining. I actually really enjoyed it. First time I've seen something like that.
Just love magic. It's so cool, and you can use it for tricks, and oh, it's just my favorite thing ever.
It really is something special, isn't it?
She'll now properly turn around, kind of to get a good look at you now. Uh, she kind of, instinctively gives you a once over, like everyone has done before. She goes, "Oh, you're half elf, aren't you?
Yes.
Oh, it's so cool. I don't see many half elves. What's it like? Is it different? Is it like being a Florentine? Is it all stuffy and bossy inside, or is it like the best of both worlds?"
I would say it's a little bit of the best of both worlds, although people look at me funny a lot.
That's really cool. She says she's very starstruck kind of feel to her. At this point, you can pretty much tell she's a human. She seems to be dressed in some pretty standard adventurer's gear. She looks more dressed for an exploration.